Whenever I share how I do my daily journaling inside of Notion, I usually get one of two reactions. One is, what the fuck, you're crazy, you have a tracking problem, I'm overwhelmed just looking at this. And on the other side, it's, oh my gosh, please can I get a template? Where can I download this? How do I get a copy of this? I have a thought about this and it applies to both of these responses, and that is that this journal that I've been using for over 1,500 days now has evolved to adapt to my unique needs, and I'm a Notion Power user, so I know how to push the app to its limits. I can do all sorts of interesting fun things with it that help support me in my own curiosity about my own behavior, and I use Notion as a personal development tool. I journal because I want to and because I'm a curious person. It is a simple end of day activity that I do every day, and I love it, and I love seeing the patterns that emerge. As someone who struggles with ADHD, I also have low interoception, which means I don't always know how to read the signs in my body. My journaling is a way to help me slow down and notice what is happening for me, and it's a chance for some deeper reflection. Journaling is just another part of my neurodivergent toolkit. I found some really fun and clever ways to use Notion as a recommendation engine to give me some structure every day to help suggest what I should be working on each day based on the things I said in advance were important. Now, if I were to give this system to someone that didn't participate in the build, it would be super overwhelming. If you're not already a Notion Power user and you received a template like this with 17 interconnected databases, it would be completely overwhelming and you wouldn't use it. This journal database, it's a direct reflection of my own curiosities. It's not going to feel super exciting for you if you're not already curious about that stuff. So there's a reason that I don't give people this template. But what I will do, I thought I could walk you through what I do in my journal, and then I'm going to transition into building it from scratch. I'm going to build the template that I will then share with you, so you can see how I built it and see why I built it. And then if you want to use it as a starting point, you can, but I'm not just going to give this super overly complex interconnected system to anyone that isn't really familiar and comfortable with Notion, because I'm just setting you up to fail. And that's just not going to be fun for anybody, I promise you. So there are two main ways that I use my Notion database. One is as a recommendation engine. So at the beginning of the day, when I'm looking at my journal, it tells me what the theme for the day is: deep work, administrative, client work, teaching, etc. It tells me what routine activities I need to be focused on, what studies or learning I should be focused on. And so the biggest thing for me is that my journal is actually partly a way to help me remove decision fatigue. The other is for tracking. Some of the things that I track in my daily journal: I add my Oura stats for readiness, sleep, and activity. I set an intention for the day, my energy, whether or not I did my morning routine, daily walking, my win the day task. I track whether I reached a flow state. It's really important to me as a creative person. I want to make sure that I am really aligned in my work. And so I want to know, how often am I feeling in flow? Are there certain days of the week that I feel more inspired or aligned or creative than others? Because then I can start to manage my schedule and make adjustments to help me get into that flow state more often. I have a pretty poor working memory. My memory is really one of the ways that my ADHD shows up the most. I can be very forgetful with things, unfortunately. And so by tracking some of the stuff in Notion, I can remember, did I take those supplements? Might that be the reason that I feel crummy or that I don't feel very energized today, etc. I should also point out, I'm not really strict about tracking these things. There are some properties that I do track more than others, but I'm not looking to create a streak. I'm not looking to beat myself up. There is no failing or not failing. There's just me feeding the system data. So I'm not looking at this as, oh no, I have to do this every day or else I'm failing. I just don't see it that way. I like to call it a curiosity engine. It's just a place for me to feed it data. And then over time, I can do different filters and look at the data differently to give me those insights. And hopefully with AI, I'll be able to get even more of those insights without having to do that work manually. Pardon me while I go feed the dog. So let's dig in and I'll show you what this looks like behind the scenes. So here we are inside a page inside of my journal. So this is today's journal entry. I'm not going to get too into the weeds of how I built this specifically, because we're going to get into that when I build from scratch and show you how to build a journal. But here you can see every day of the week has its own cover image that's built into the templates, which we're going to do. And I'm just going to walk through what some of these properties are, why I do them, and you can decide for yourself if you want to do something similar. So every journal database needs a date property. Now, the daily theme is doing a lot of the heavy lifting. I've talked about this before in a past video, but this is basically a link to a themes database that has different days of the week here. And so This is part of the template. As soon as I activate this page and I choose the Wednesday template, this is connected automatically. And Wednesday, if I open that up, actually has a bunch of stuff already in it. So I've got the theme for the week is deep work. I've got these different projects, recurring items, activity, learning. So there's a bunch of things that I've said, Wednesdays, this is my focus. And there's a formula here that checks, is today's date matching the date of this entry? If so, it's going to do a checkbox. This allows me to do a bunch of other fancy stuff in my actions and my project databases. So I can choose for certain things to only show up on certain days of the week. It's kind of fun, but I'm not going to get too into that right yet. Again, some of this is really advanced use cases that won't make sense for the average person, but just want to show you what it looks like for me. So Wednesday tells me that it's a deep work day, and I'll just open this up so you can see what's happening here. I have a relation to the daily theme, and I'm pulling in the property from that daily theme, and I'm just saying show original. So all of these roll-ups here are pulling from this daily themes property. So that tells me that I need to work on my newsletter today and create and publish a YouTube video. My studies are the Unschool Education track. And then we move on into some of the more tracking related properties. I've got my readiness, sleep, and activity score from my Oura Ring. It's basically a health tracker, kind of like the Apple Watch. And when I wake up in the morning, I put in these stats, and then at the end of the day, I update the activity score because that one does change at the end of the day. I can pick something from my intentions database. So I've got a list here of things I can do. Now you can also just use a drop down for this. I like to use databases because I'm quite comfortable with them, and there's some fun things that you can do with them that you can't with drop downs, but it's totally personal preference. For workout, I track my workout activities here. I did a past YouTube video on that, so I'm not going to get too into that right now. For win the day, every day I choose one win the day activity. If I do that, it means I have won the day. The win the day property is a relation to my actions database, and I basically choose one thing that if I completed that, it means I won the day. Only one activity gets put in here. Every day I track 3 feelings from the feelings database. So I can click here, I can either start typing, appreciation, gratitude, whatever it is that I'm feeling. I love to pay attention to things like, do I feel certain feelings on some days of the week versus others? How am I feeling about my work? What are the connections between my energy levels and what I'm working on? I love seeing that data. It's fun for me. If it's not fun for you, you shouldn't do it. As part of my energy management, one of the things I like to do is to track my energy levels. Now, I do get a lot of questions about this property because it might seem like a select at first glance, but this is actually a database. So that's where those icons come from. And the reason I do that is these entries actually do have other properties to them. So I'm not going to get too into that because, again, this is like so tailored to my needs, but there's no reason why this couldn't just be a simple select dropdown. I can connect this to any online courses that I worked on today. Notes and ideas is a relation to my notes and ideas database. Truthfully, I do not use this very often. I don't need to track which journal I made which notes, so I might even just delete that right here, right now. Let's do it. I track whether or not I did my morning routine. Yes, I do track intimacy with my partner, so I could tell you which days are the sexiest days of the week. That might be a little TMI for you, so we'll just skip over to the next property, which is Daily Me's, and that is a daily review. Did I go through and clear out my inbox? There's a whole dashboard I have on that, and that's just a checkbox to say yes, I did it or didn't. Daily walk. Did I win the day? So did I complete this? Yes, I did. Did I reach a flow state? I like to track this. Again, as someone with ADHD who can really struggle with focus or sometimes go into hyperfocus, I get really curious about that. And I like to know, did I feel like I was in flow? And do I feel flow on certain days of the week more than others? Because then I will actually make different adjustments to my schedule. I might make certain days non-negotiable, unbookable. And I try to batch my time differently. And so the more that I learn about how I work and my creative style, I will make adjustments to my schedule accordingly. So all of these properties have reasons that I'm tracking them. And if I find over time that it's not actually serving me and I don't actually go back and look at that data, I just delete those properties. Here I've got a link to my supplements database. Again, I think this one is a really helpful one for just noticing trends in my energy and are the supplements that I'm buying and using actually working. I like to track that here. I've got a link to my practices database. And this is just a way to prime my brain to remember, hey, you said these things were important. Are you actually doing them? If yes or no, why not? And it's just a chance for me to reflect. The meals database, I don't track this super often, I have to say. I've got my recipes database here and I can say, oh, I did the shredded tofu tacos. But, truthfully, I still make a lot of random food throughout the week outside of the meals that I don't want to add all of that every single time. So I'm pretty lazy about tracking meals. It can be helpful, for example, if you're making changes, you're going to a nutritionist and you're trying to, just paying attention to what you're eating. Like if you're getting stomach aches or whatever, that might be helpful for you. But again, that's actually another property I think that I might just delete because I just don't really use it that often. Joy, I put in how joyful did I feel on a scale of 1 to 10? That's a number property, and you can choose different formats for this number. I like to choose the ring, and I'm basically saying it's a score out of 10. So I've got 10 there, and for each of these, it's out of 10. I think water is out of 8. So let's say I drank 4 glasses. Effectiveness as well, I can say maybe 8. Now, activation is one that's a little more ADHD specific. A lot of folks with ADHD have very low activation, and that is the ability and willingness to get things done that you need to get done regardless of your motivation. It is very, very hard to do things that I am not excited about doing, but some things just have to get done. And so it's partly a measure of my own resistance. There are some days where I'm just on the ball and able to get things done, and I'm getting crazy amounts of work done. And so I can say, yes, I was super motivated to do that. Amazing, 9 out of 10. And the way I see activation and effectiveness a little bit differently is effectiveness is I can have really high activation and get a lot of things done, but they might be things that were not really what needed to get done. So for me, effectiveness is a measure of how aligned was the work with what you said was important, what you put on your schedule versus things that I was just excited to work on. So again, this is more for my own curiosity. I like to notice things around my activation and energy, how that changes over time. Does it change when I work out? Does it change when I do different supplements? I want to know. I find this really helpful because I don't think this stuff is super intuitive to me. If it is for you, amazing. But this is really helpful for my very forgetful brain. As I scroll down, I've got this daily highlight. So this daily highlight is a shared database with my husband. So both of us have connections from our journals to this highlights database, and I can go through and I can add a new memory. I can add something funny. It's usually just funny moments that happen throughout the day, and we can add those there. And then this one is just a text property. So did that thing. I can type in whatever I want here. And what I love about these wins and highlights too is that I can show myself a view of those over the week, over a month, and just see a summary of all the really fun, amazing highlights that I had that week or that month. It's a really great way to celebrate your accomplishments. It's very easy to forget the exciting and fun things that you do. So sometimes you can go through a week and be like, what did I do this week? This is just a really wonderful way to capture some of those memories that might be easy to forget. Similarly, I track my gratitude. Again, this can be something really simple, really small, but it just takes me a few minutes to fill this out at the end of the day. Even one sentence. It could be the weather. It could be a person. Just something kind that somebody did for you. Really anything at all. Challenges. I think this is honestly where part of the magic of the journal comes, is just really noticing what is challenging me. And do patterns keep showing up? Where am I consistently being challenged in my life? What is giving me anxiety? I am tracking this to hopefully create insights that I can use to improve myself over time. Speaking of improvement, I've got an improvement property here, and I've got some suggestions for things here. I can add new ones. Entertainment database. I track everything that I've been watching from movies and shows and games. All of that gets logged in the entertainment database. Freeform notes, I can type whatever I want in here, just oh, hey, this was a really tough day. Whatever it is, I can put that in there. A connection to the content database, which has quite a bit of properties in there. It's not a hugely important one, but I think it's just kind of interesting. Any connections that, people that I connected with. Today, I connected with Jessica Abel, so I can track things like that. And just see, again, if there are certain days of the week that I even feel more connected to people or that I tend to be more social. It's all just interesting data. track my menstrual cycles here. This is a connection to my cycles database. I won't get too far into the weeds with that one. Physical symptoms, I can add anything from this database here. This could totally be done with a multi-select, but again, I love my databases because I think it just gives you some interesting options for viewing that data differently. Cognitive wellness, another huge one, especially for ADHDers, low activation, hyperfocus, restlessness. I like to track all of this good stuff. These are automated connections to the month database, the week database. I'm not going to get too far into that. These ones here, like for example, I've got this fun little formula that allows me to see what I was doing on this same date 3 years, 4 years in the past. I'll show you what that looks like in a second. And then the final one is love notes. So we keep a database of nice things that people say about us, clients, friends, anything like a nice tweet, a wonderful DM, just something kind that people say about us. All of that gets stored in the love notes database, and I can just connect those up to my journal. And it's just like a really nice way to track those wins. And that's it. That's the majority of the journal database. And in the body, this is where I can do any freeform journaling, like whatever I feel like. I can just add some copy here and just go as deep as you want. You don't have to. And then I can replace this photo. Usually I do this at the end of the day on my phone, and I'll replace this and just choose a photo of the day. And then what that does is I can view a gallery view of my journal by day. And then that allows me to just see a really beautiful overview of my days. And I can see these beautiful images that I've uploaded. If I don't upload an image, it'll just show this day of the week. So it makes for a really beautiful gallery overview. So if I jump back to the journal, you can see this is the on this day property. So what I'm doing here is I'm filtering the journal by on this day is checked. So that's going to show me all of the April 19th from 2020 was the earliest entry that I had. And I can see what I was up to. I can see my wins and highlights. I can see my gratitude and challenges. My challenge, 2020 didn't go for a walk. Ben brought me breakfast in bed. There's a lot of food gratitude in here. And you can see I had different cover images. So for every year, I would give a different style. And I've got templates for each day of the week. That's where I get those beautiful cover images. So that way you don't have to upload them every time. They're already ready to go inside of these templates. And you can see this is already connected to Monday, which has different themes than my Wednesday theme did. So that's one way that I use my journal. So you can see there's a lot of advanced properties, a lot of filters. There's just a lot of connections to other databases that wouldn't really make sense if you don't already use those databases. I think it's a recipe for overwhelm to just kind of hand this on a plate to anybody else, but I would much rather show you how to build it and customize it to yourself. So let's jump in and build a really simple journal template from scratch that you can download and get started on your own. So we're going to start with a really basic page in Notion. I've created a new page called Journal. Now, whenever I'm assembling a new database and I'm not sure if I'm going to make relations and connections, I always think it's good to start with a page and put your database inside your page, because then you can add notes and other things alongside it. So as you can see here, I've already got some notes here about some of the things I want to include in this database. And then just above here, I can type /data, and I can bring an inline database into this page. Now, I think I'm going to just start with an inline table database, and I'm going to call this journal. So yes, the journal and the page have the same name. In fact, I might even just say my journal as the page name, just so we avoid confusion. So we've got the my journal page, and inside this page, we have this journal database. Now, every journal is going to need a date property. And I'm going to delete this tags property. We don't need that. That's just what Notion adds by default. And let's just add a new entry for today. So I've got April in here, and I'm going to choose today's date. Now I can start adding properties here. And I can also open this entry and add some properties here. So you have a couple different options. I'm going to open this up here and start adding my properties here. And the nice thing is I can see this list on the left-hand side. So I know that I want to add a property for feelings. I want to track my morning routine, etc. So I'm going to start adding some of these properties. Now, what property should you choose? If it's a yes or no, I think you should choose a checkbox. So did I do this activity? Yes or no? So for example, morning routine. I want to track whether or not I did it. Yes or no. I've got this little checkbox here. Perfect. For something like vitamins, you can either track whether or not you took your vitamins, or maybe you want to track the specific vitamins that you took. I'm going to stick to the basics for now, get you into the habit of actually tracking in your journal, and then you can decide if you want to take it to the next level. So we've got our morning routine here. Let's add a multi-select for feelings. This is where you can add joyful, content, proud, depressed, whatever. You can add a bunch of feelings in there. I tend to choose only 3 per day. The more that you feed it over time, you're going to have a larger list to choose from. We've got our feelings, we've got our morning routine, vitamins. Again, you can choose if you want to do a multi-select for this. You can say vitamin D. And you can just start typing in your vitamins here. And that way you can track which ones you took, or you can also use a checkbox and say, did I take all my vitamins today? It's really up to you. And in fact, I'm just going to add a little colon there because these are named the same. So you can decide what approach you want to do. Similar to the vitamins and feelings, doing physical symptoms, like if you're tracking pain, you might want to do something like this, like maybe my knee injury, my knee's acting up. And again, over time, as you keep adding that, it's going to just appear in your drop-down select and give you those options. You can add one for cognitive wellness if you like that approach as well. And let's add some wins and highlights. So just using a text property, wins, celebrations, highlights, whatever you want to call that. I actually like to separate wins and celebrations from highlights. So like favorite memory of the day. So like one is more accomplished focused, one is more memory focused. Again, this is totally personal preference. Adding my challenges here as well. Now, again, you might decide challenges make more sense as a select or a drop down if the same challenges kind of keep popping up over and over again. I like to do it more like a journaling prompt where I can type whatever I want. Again, this is totally personal preference. If you do change your mind, you can always go through and say edit property and change it from text to one of the other properties. So you can see we've got a couple different properties here. I'm going to add one more for themes. I'm going to do it as a select just to show you what that looks like. Maybe today is a deep work day, or maybe it's an administration day, errands, whatever. I'm just going to say deep work. So with the single select, obviously you can only choose a single theme, whereas these you can add as many as you like. So now you can see we've got a bunch of these different properties ready to go. The next step would be to create a couple templates. Now you can create a default journal template that would just give an icon. So maybe we want to choose the journal book here. Nothing else needs to change. Or you might even say that you want a default theme to show up, deep work. It's totally up to you. I'm just going to say that this template is just going to apply a new cover image. And then I like to add an image in the body so that this way when I'm on my phone, I can click that add an image and it's already there. It's really easy to upload. And then we can set this as our default. Notion adds a couple blank entries to the database when you first start. So I'm just going to delete those. And now anytime I create new, you'll see it actually pulls that default title and the icon here. And you can see I've got that image there. But I'm just going to delete this for now. And I'm going to open up this April 19th and just apply the template here. Great. And there's room for me to add an image. So this is fine for a really basic view, but in terms of how you want to view this over time, it can start to get messy as you add new entries. And so I'm going to show you a couple options for how you might think about this. Let's say we want to have a couple different views. I'm making a view called today, and I'm going to filter this view. I want to choose the date is today. Save for everyone. So anytime I click new here, it's actually going to have today's date. Right? And so this will always show me today's date. Now you've got a few options for how you want to view this information. As you start to add more properties, you'll see we start to get a bit longer here, and it's not actually that easy to view. So I like to use the board view personally. And so I'm going to change the layout from a table to a board view. And you'll see it kind of sets up a funny default here. But what we're going to do is group by. I'm going to choose the date, and I'm going to choose today. And I'm going to hide empty groups. And then I'm going to turn on the card preview to page content. Okay. And then I'm going to turn on the properties. So what do I want to see at a glance? I want to see my morning routine checkbox. I want to see what theme is today. I want to see my feelings. Did I take my vitamins? And so I'm just turning on these properties here. And I can say, yes, I took my vitamins. I took these ones. So you've got a couple options for how you want to view this information. Now, let's say I did add an image here. I'm just going to use one from Notion's Unsplash as a default, and you'll see that now that cover images pops up here. So over time, as you start to fill up your journal with your photo of the day, you can see a really nice image here. So this is the today view, but let's also set up a calendar view as well. And you'll see here that this shows up on the 19th. So we've got a calendar view, a board view, and then we can also create a table view that is maybe just for this week. And what I want to do is tidy up some of these properties here. I don't need to see the date because I can actually see that as the title. Maybe I want to see the feelings, the morning routine. I can make some adjustments here to the icon. So let's say I want to do coffee for the morning routine. I can actually hide that. Do this. Physical, maybe I don't want to see this at a glance. I can also choose whether or not I want to wrap these. So let's wrap that column so I can really see those feelings. Themes are more for planning, so I might want to hide that. Let's wrap this column as well. And vitamins, again, I'm just dragging this over and then shrinking these columns. So let's turn those vitamins into a pill. There we go. So we got today, calendar, this week. Now we haven't done any filters to this, so I want to make sure that I do set up a filter here relative to today, this week. So that's going to show only the entries from this particular week. I have this set up as a Monday start, but if your account is set to Sunday start, you'll see Sunday through Saturday. Great. So you can actually see a bit of a summary. So as you fill up your week, you're going to see this fill up over time. I'm going to delete these now. Now, where things start to get fun from the recommendation engine side is if you start to pre-populate your day of the week templates here. So I'm going to create a new template for Monday. And I can say maybe Monday is for administration work. And then I am going to upload an image with Monday. So this has a placeholder image in it, and then that way when I apply this, it's going to always show Monday as a cover image until I replace that with my photo of the day. And you can do the same thing with the cover image as well. Now you don't necessarily need to do this for both. This gives you some options for whether or not you want to choose the cover image as your gallery image, or you want to choose content as your cover image. Great, so now we've got a Monday template, and I'm also going to update that icon here. I like to use the bookmark icon, but totally personal preference. Great, so I've got one Monday template and one general default template. And so what I'm going to do is duplicate this, and I'm going to replace this with the different days of the week. I'm going to go ahead and repeat this process for each day of the week, and then we'll come back. Okay, so I've gone ahead and added those different days of the week templates. This is what allows you to have those pretty different cover images and even preset what some of the themes are for your different days of the week. So for example, if I open up Wednesday, I've set this to be deep work. And I can also, if I want to, I added an activity database. So let's say I know I want to walk every Wednesday and mountain biking every Wednesday. So what this looks like, let's say I go to the calendar view and I want to add a new entry for tomorrow. If I just click here, you're going to see that that default template that I set up is here, but I actually want that Thursday template to appear. So I'm going to delete this, and I'm going to set this empty one as the default. And that way, no template is going to be applied when I add a new entry. The reason I want to do this is because I want to apply the specific day of the week template. So if I click here and I say April 20th, and I scroll down, I can apply the Thursday template. So I click on that and you'll see it's got the cover image, it's got my theme here. And again, I could already preset that with an activity. Thursday didn't have an activity preset, but you can choose whatever the things are that are associated with that day. You can make sure to put those in your template. I'm going to go ahead and add a couple more entries just so I can fill this out and you can see what this looks like. Okay, so you can see I've got a few entries in the calendar here, but if I click on this week, it's only going to show me entries from this week. Now there's no sorting here. You can actually see that some of the dates are out of alignment. So I want to make sure to sort this by date. and I can say date ascending or descending. I'm just going to put it on ascending for now, and I can see from the 17th to the 23rd. So what this allows you to do is over time, I can say how many days did I actually do my morning routine. That's where you can just see at the bottom, like, okay, I've got 5 checked here. And, you know, you can even batch apply these if you want. I'm not actually going to do that, but you've got some options there. Just adding a few feelings in there already, and just to show you what this can look like as you begin to fill it up. So this will only ever show you 1 week at a time. So we've got our today, this week, this month. Let's take a look at today. Now you might decide you don't want to see all of this data at once. Maybe you just want to see the recommendation for what to do today. I can hide the feelings and the vitamins, and maybe it's more like a checklist. So here's the things that you want to get done today, and here's your theme for the day. This is just one really simple way that you can use your preset themes here to appear automatically, show you your theme, show you the things that you want to be checking off for the day in a really simple view. Now, personally, I find the calendar view is the kind of the best and easiest way to add your journal entries, because it means you don't have to use the date picker. As soon as I click this, it's automatically going to be applying that date, and I can just type in the name of my entry. So I think this is the fastest way to do it. And you can see day of the week is Monday. I'm just going to click on the Monday template, and everything that I need is good to go. I noticed that, yep, administration is my theme of the day. There's no activity. So I might decide to go back and say, you know what, Mondays are going to be my dodgeball days. So I'm going to go there and let's update this activity to say dodgeball. And that way, anytime I click that template, that's what's going to appear there. And so again, I can pull this up here in the properties. I'm going to say, let me see, I want to choose my activity. Great. Okay. And so no activity has been defined for today. So I'm going to go in and say Pilates and walk. And I'm just going to adjust these properties so that that shows up under my themes. So this is the recommendation aspect of it. It says today is a deep work day and you've got Pilates and a walk, and don't forget to do your morning routine and your vitamins. So again, this can get long, it can get complex, it can get, as detailed as you want it to be, or as simple as you want it to be. It's really up to you. The other thing I can do is change that cover image if I want to. So I can click on the board layout and I can say, maybe I just want the card review to be the cover. And that will always show the current day of the week. So it's really up to you. And if I choose page content, it's going to go back to the content. And if you don't have something updated in the content, that's where the entries here, having that in the body, it's always going to show that if you don't have an image. And going back to the calendar view, you can turn on any properties that you want. So if you want to be able to see some of these patterns over time, maybe you're tracking morning routine and the vitamins in a simpler way like this, just to kind of get a visual overview. That's one way of doing it. Same with the themes. Maybe we turn those themes on as well. Right, and you can just kind of see your themes that way. So lots of different ways you can do it. This is just a starting point, and I would recommend if you're going to start with this, make sure to save this so it shows up in your sidebar, and that way it's really quick for you to jump in and make those edits. Another view that might be kind of pretty and helpful is a board view grouped by date. So I'm going to choose a new view board, and what I'm going to do is set up my filters first, and then I'm going to set up the grouping. So I only want to see, relative to today, I just want to see entries from this week. So that's great. And then I'm going to group this by date again, just like I did with the today view. And I'm going to choose date by day. I'm going to hide empty groups. And then I'm going to turn on the preview. And again, I can choose page cover or page content. If I choose page content, right, it's going to pull any images from the body. And since these are all in the body, that's what's showing. So let's say for Thursday, for example, I switch out this image and I replace it with one of these. Then I've still got the cover image here and I've got the content image here. And so over time, you can build this beautiful gallery of images that kind of show your week, show your month at a glance. I really love the board view like this. And you can just hold your shift key and scroll left and right to see everything. And then we can adjust the size. We can choose which properties we want to make visible, maybe show feelings over time. Even a little summary of your wins and celebrations. Maybe themes at the top. This is where you really get to customize how much you see. I think I might also change the grouping size. Card size small. Just to get a little snapshot of the week. Now I'm zoomed in a little bit in my Notion too, so if I zoom out, you can actually get closer to having a full week showing. But there you go. You can see how you can start to see the data in a few different ways if you put on the appropriate filters and choose the appropriate grouping. So we can view this in a board view, in a table view, calendar. You can even do it in a list view. I don't find that as helpful, but the table view is what allows you to do some of these counts and roll-ups. So if you click at the bottom here, you can do things like what percentage of these were checked, what's a count of the ones that were checked. So let's say I switch this from a count to percent checked. I can see that 71% of the time I do my morning routine. So you can really choose how you want to see this data. I find Notion includes too much of the percentage, so I actually like to just do a count. So it really depends. So this is a really simplified journal that doesn't have any relations to other data. It's just a really good starting point while you get used to customizing the filters and, figuring out if these are the properties that you want to be tracking, adding new data over time. You might find some things you start tracking and then you fall off and you realize it's not that important. That's totally fine. I frequently will delete properties if I find that I'm not using them. So don't be afraid to do that. I really think it takes a little bit of iteration while you figure out what makes sense for you to track, what's too much. And there's lots of interesting services that you can use to connect your data through Zapier to send stuff automatically into Notion. A little bit of an advanced use case that we don't need to go into today. But I am going to put some finishing touches on this template and make it available for you to download and play with. And then if you've got questions about this and you want to see how to go even deeper, if there were some relations that I showed you in my journal that are more interesting, let me know. I can do a little bit of a deep dive on those. I hope you can understand why it doesn't make sense for me to share my system exactly as is. I do think it's really important to understand how to enter the data, how to manipulate it, how to show it in different ways. I would much rather you build a system that works for you. And so the more that you understand how to build a system, the more you'll be able to tailor it to your needs. Do not beat yourself up if this does not become an overnight habit. This is something I've been cultivating for 4 or 5 years, and it took me a long time to build this into a daily habit. This is just an opportunity for you to get curious about yourself and have some fun with it. Hopefully this gives you a good starting point, and if you have any questions along the way, please don't hesitate to ask in the comments. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.